Hi everybody, my name's Bridget Merritt, and I have the privilege of having been Gareth's girlfriend for the past year and a half. I'm so grateful to his family for allowing me to talk to you guys today about Gareth. So I wrote a few words and I'll do the best I can to share with you. Gareth used to hold me tightly and press his chest into mine. "Why do we have to be made with two sets of rib cages?" he'd say. "My heart wants to break out of its cage of ribs and be next to yours." He'd try and try again, vain attempts to push our hearts together. I thought of this the night he died, and my rib cage felt full. There, next to mine, was his heart, escaped from its cage of ribs and next to where it wanted to call home. It occurred to me then, of all the hearts his would visit now, all of the cages it would seek to inhibit in order to be next to the hearts of the people he loved. We can all pinpoint the moment in our lives when we came to know Gareth Lochhead, that moment when he branded himself on us as a friend, a brother, a son, a cousin, a student, a nephew, a coworker, a neighbor, a sweetheart. I took a photograph of the moment I met him. It seems odd to me now that I did, but here's the evidence. Imagine it. Gareth, standing in the aisle of a crowded shop. In a small town in rural South Korea. Gareth smiling at the camera, arms held awkwardly at his sides, hair cut short, navy short-sleeve polo shirt, navy knee-length shorts, a large blue backpack with straps secured around and a bit under his round belly, black socks pulled up to his calves, and black trainers on his feet. He wasn't exactly wearing his lady killer clothes, and as such, what drew me to him on that day was his ability to laugh and to make me laugh. His keen sense of humor, his sense of play. He told me later that he had never intended to run into a pretty girl on the streets of Hadong, and I'll admit I was pleasantly surprised when we met for coffee a few days later, and he was dressed in the way that would make me swoon. I met Gareth the day after Typhoon Samba blew in and darkened the skies and rattled the windows. On the day we met, the skies were clear, and I was abuzz with exploring my new town, having just arrived the day before. I made my way to the crowded market streets and wound through them, turning the corner and finding him there. Gareth happened to be in my town, about 20 minutes from his own, to explore. Witty banter exchanged, we spent the afternoon hopping into little shops and making each other laugh with what we found. How can I tell you of the days that followed? How can I possibly describe the wave that swept us up and spun us around in the intoxication of one another? Hours and hours we spent drinking coffee, creating lesson plans, exploring the surrounding hills, reading and rereading poems, and recognizing the spark we had lit in the other. Hours and hours we Skyped, Gareth often reading from a book until I drifted off to sleep. We found in each other a partner in play, a partner in discovery. We felt understood. We felt in love. I had glimpses of Gareth's own struggles early on, and later it became too clear to look in any other direction. But what I want to focus on, what I want to remember, what I want to share with you today, is the Gareth that made me feel like the luckiest girl on the planet. You'll recognize him in these anecdotes, I'm sure, and if not, your memories are of heavier times. Let these words bring back into light the Gareth who is prone to joy, to romanticism, to intense creativity and complex thinking. He liked the smell of CK1. He shopped frequently at a store called Uniqlo, and if he found a shirt he liked, he often bought 2 or 3 more identical ones. He spoke of aesthetic intersections, and he pointed out what pleased him in the marriages of ancient Korean function and modern form. He loved watches. He would engage any willing party in a lengthy discussion of his favorites, Invicta, Russian diver, Swiss legend. He questioned every purchase in a most elaborate way, wanting and needing reassurance that it was a good idea. This is how he came to wear a brown leather strap bracelet, this one right here. Some beads from a nearby temple, these right here. A particular pair of gray leather Converse high tops, a pair of brown keen hiking boots with Vibram soles, navy linen shirts, or a certain two-tone gray woven belt. These items were an eventual reward for each labored purchase, and not one time did he wear them without stopping to mention how pleased he was. He loved to sit and dissect a translated work of Korean poetry, rework it, tease out its true meaning. He loved to co-create. He often carried a book of Billy Collins' poems in his backpack and pulled it out to read aloud at a cafe while waiting for a subway in the park on a nice day. Gareth enjoyed a nice snack of brie on crackers, with a little tomato and a little bit of pepper. He found very dark chocolate to be divine. He kept jars of Manuka honey in his kitchen. He had a cup of Earl Grey, English breakfast, or Darjeeling tea each morning while exclaiming, "Tea is medicinal." Gareth liked to say, "I have ideas. Have I told you about my ideas?" And this was usually followed by things he, and I quote, said, could not be improved upon. Things like pump bottles of shampoo in a hotel can't be improved upon. Certain car door handles can't be improved upon. He delighted in the same things over and over again. I have no doubt many of you saw Gareth in really awkward stages. We all had them, and he perhaps more than others. But I'd like to paint a picture now of Gareth the romantic, of the Gareth that held me beneath the moon and read over and over again a poem he wrote called The You of My Words. The Gareth who put my teacup, tea, and spoon out at night and left a love note by it for me to find in the morning. The Gareth who stopped along the side of the road to pick wild cosmos and make a 30-minute drive to deliver them to me at my school. The Gareth who decided my vase should never be empty, even if it meant surprise visits to my apartment at night once he'd moved 3 hours away. The Gareth I knew would hide little funny gifts in my shoes and deep inside of my suitcase. He named a lamb-stuffed animal Deputy Snuggle and gave it strict instructions to do your job and do it well. Each time we had to be apart. He danced with me in our apartment. He cooked for me chicken stir-fry. He called me out into the balcony to watch the sunrise or set and wrapped me in his arms. He celebrated all of who I am, and truly never a day went by that he didn't say something kind to me. Gareth delighted in changing seasons and the changing colors of the sky. Blood orange sun, he'd point out. Achingly red leaves, he'd say. The smallest details of surroundings were taken in constantly and stored for later writing. And he was a prolific writer. I'm a poet, he'd say. That's what I do. He wrote for many of us, and how lucky we are to have these gifts of his words. There are glimpses of his genius, and I truly believe that he was. Gareth captured in words the timeline of our love the way I captured it in photos. And once written, they were recited time and time again. They are evidence of pure moments of joy. In these poems, he documents diving headfirst into oceanic love, being gently baked in the sun, caressed by breezes ancient and foreign, walking hearts huddled, hush step, past pines and deciduous tree leaves. Tonight I am richly blessed, he writes. He would whisper these words to me as I fell asleep. I was often swallowed up in his words, cradled in his words, folded up into the pages of his words. 1.5 years documented in 63 of the most beautiful pieces of writing I've ever seen. For Bridget, he'd write. For Bridget. For Bridget. For Bridget. Gareth allowed himself to play. We were prone to running through the apartment with BB guns, much to my mother's dismay, and those of you who Skyped with Gareth in recent times probably meant Myrtle the Turtle or Deborah the Zebra, as he made them dance in the desk. Toy cars made appearances on his office desk. A Lego man flashlight hung from his keychain. Last Halloween he dressed up in a cow costume, both during the class he taught and out on the town in the evening. I had done it on a dare, he writes. I agreed because it felt like acting on the stage. Anonymous and costumed, I was freed to weave and bob to boogie in my cage. And there was the stage. Gareth joined a nearby theater troupe in Daegu, and what a perfect fit it was. The Princess Bride, Night of the Living Dead, 24-hour and 10-minute play festivals. Gareth contributed as a writer and an actor, and he found a group of people who loved drama and allowed for play in the same way that he craved. His spirit was fed. He was loved. He belonged. Finally, after struggling to find a workplace that was a good fit, and after a bit of a rocky start, Gareth was settling into his second year teaching at Dongguk University in Gyeongju. He was part of a curriculum development committee and seen as a valued member of Office 4. He cultivated friendships here, working through them when things got tough. He found in the other teachers acceptance and genuine love. I know I'm not the only one grieving. I hold each of you in the dear space that I once held Gareth. And I thank you for sending him to me as he was. It's obvious how well loved he was. Is this real? He used to say. Do you really love me? He used to ask. We do, sweetheart. We really, really do.